Hello and welcome to Quell. What we do here at Quell is we concentrate a lot on workplace violence, and with that all its sub-subjects. And in this video all I want to talk about is CCTV procedures. One of the reasons is because over the past few months we've been getting quite a lot of our clients asking us to check their CCTV systems or their procedures, and also what's really good is a lot of the people we're dealing with within companies, that's the HR or shall we say the health and safety, have moved on to other companies and asked us to get involved as well. So it's really good that we've generated an interest there somewhere that they've asked us to come back and help. Now, what I always do with our clients, I always talk about the first 5 areas. That's it, nothing more. Then I go into a lot more detail because the video would about 4 or 5 hours long. We're not doing that. But I always ask around about 5 questions just to get, shall we say, some form of motion or traction. The first question I always ask is, okay, well, why do you need a set of procedures? And then they'll ask me, various questions, and I'll say, well, okay, but how detailed do we want to be? How detailed does it need to be? Has your insurance company come and asked for this? Which is sometimes quite true. They're actually quite strict over it. Has there been certain incidents? Have you not been able to give it over to the police or even the guard at your corner, and there's been issues? Why do we need this, shall we say, a procedure in place? And how detailed are we looking? Always judges on the size of the system. If you've got 5 cameras, it's going to be different if you've got 500 cameras. So that would what I would start off with. Then I talk a lot around the next stages about, well, okay, who owns the system? Who physically owns that system? We need to identify who owns that physical system. Once we've done that, okay, what has the owner done in the sense of designated the controller? So who's going to control it? Who's going to make sure the procedures are all? Who's going to make sure people read it? Who's going to make sure people, shall we say, staff are the ones who look at it and actually have an involvement with it? That's everything from the maintenance of it all the way through to the operational of it. Then I talk a lot about processing. On big organisations that we work with, there could be various processors who process that CCTV data to give to third parties, whether that is the police or that is, shall we say, some form of insurance company or any form of legal investigation and claims or compensation. So we talk a lot about that. And then what system have we going to put in place and how they're actually going to basically, shall we say, give that data over. Then I look lastly in that little area of the operator. And that's the staff. I always call the staff operators who touch the CCTV system. So on that second level, I'm looking at the owner, the controller, the processor, and the operator. So we can identify exactly who's responsible for what. The next stage, the third stage I call it, is, okay, well, how do we secure the data? So how are we doing that? How is the CCTV screen, monitor, cameras, whatever that might be? Do we have remote access? What is the security around that? That's how we talk a lot. And I ask them to think about it. And where do we secure the data? Do we put it in a secure locker? Is it in a safe? Have we got previous data? Where is it? So that's all the security element of it. Exactly. Who's touching it? What's happening with it? And where is it? And how? Them kind of things of how we've logged it. The next question, which is I call the fourth question, is the documentation side of it. Okay, well, what documentation? Yeah, we've got the procedures, but do we need maintenance manual? Do we need certain registers, some audit books? There's an abundance of different types of books that I talk about with them and manuals, and I'm going to put it in this point. If you look up at the ICO booklet, you can download quite easily the Information Commissioner's Office. They give you examples, and there's also other booklets out at the moment. Again, it depends how much you want to go into this, of how much information you want to read up on, because there's a lot of information on it. And the last, I'm not being funny, some people forget, is how do we release data to them third parties? We don't just give a disk or, well, nowadays it's more of a USB, and there's been certain issues with that, or certain issues where the police have come in and they've actually brought in their own USB, which is fine, but they've not released any documentation. There's been no evidential trail, or I've had recently a phone call of, we'll call it an individual, came in and had permission to take the data but decided to use their mobile phone to record off the monitor. Now, I know there's a lot of legal people out there who I talk to that will say, well, that's okay, Will, because all the paperwork is... I just like everything very neat and tidy. And the reason being is, I suppose that's because of my experience of being an expert witness and looking and learning and listening to barristers and how evidence is put together. And that's my experience, and I don't do that anymore, so don't ask me. I don't do expert witness anymore. No, I don't do it anymore. I'm more in what I like to call the prevention side now. I'm more comfortable here because I'd rather prevent the incidents that they do happen, but I prefer to prevent them. So they're just 5 questions I put across. Okay, why do we need read it. That's important, okay? Who's obviously the bracket of responsibilities within the company? That's the owner, the controller, the processor, and the operator. What security measures do we already have in place? What documentation do we really require? And lastly, how we release it. And if you put them 5 together, well, you might give you a bit of a, shall we say, a good foothold. But don't ignore it. That's what I say to you now. Don't ignore it. I've been involved in so many incidents over the years where people haven't followed the correct system and got themselves in a little bit of trouble. So if you want more information, or you want us to talk to us about CCTV procedures or anything like that, or just a bit of guidance, there's plenty of information on our LinkedIn. There's plenty of information on this YouTube channel. Go on our own website if you think, and you might find something that is of interest. But don't ignore CCTV procedures, because a lot of people do, not intentionally, and then there's a problem. Stay safe, whatever you're doing, and bye for now.